Monster Hunter Rise. It's absolutely destroying it in sales.
It's rising up the game charts, you may say.
Yes, it is. So the Switch exclusive has sold 4 million units in the first weekend. Which,
Not bad.
interestingly though, with Monster Hunter World, which was, probably for a long time the first Monster Hunter game to be console exclusive, as it's not a remake, it's just its own thing, sold 5 million units. That was on PS4 and the Xbox One, and that sold those 5 million units in 3 days. But at the time that the game came out, there probably was like about maybe 80, 90 million PS3, PS4s and Xbox Ones out there in the wild. So kind of a comparable number to the amount of Switches out there. So whether this game will actually outsell Monster Hunter World, probably not based on the trajectory at the moment. Although a lot of Switch games do have a very long tail. So it still could actually happen.
I mean, Monster Hunter World had the huge advantage of being the first big next-gen Monster Hunter console game,
For a while, right?
For a long time,
Yeah.
because the series has essentially been, on handhelds and things for a while.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but it got the big E3 stage buzz. Monster Hunter Rise had a lot of buzz, but World was, everyone was talking about World when it came out.
Yeah, and also the fact that World kind of relatively just came out. So it came out in 2018. This is coming out 3 years later.
Feel that old, yeah.
Yeah, it's only 3 years.
I played
So
it recently.
I think that does have a factor in it as well. Because to your point, Swinny, around just, hey, it hasn't really been on a console as its first. They've had other games that have come on console, but they're almost like remakes of the handheld version of it. So
Well, also, Iceborne's not that old. And Iceborne, is a huge expansion that goes on top of World. So.
that's true. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one as well. And then probably the other one that I'm thinking, I'm just trying to work through it now. They really didn't have them off like Nintendo consoles for a while. So if you're like a Sony fan and you're not really a Nintendo player, you actually hadn't had a Monster Hunter game for a while from memory.
I know, you want again for a while.
Because it was on PSP from memory. So yeah, I guess that's also probably going to drive some of the demand for it. So now, I have played this game a lot more, and it's finally clicked with me. And the other thing is, I didn't realize, guys, because you know how I was saying how I'm so shit at Monster Hunter, and I'm happy to admit it. And everyone's saying how easy this game is. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm getting killed all the time.
Let me guess.
Yeah, go on.
Because you mentioned it last week.
Oh, did I?
Well, you mentioned something last week. Is it because you weren't sharpening your blade?
Well, that was part of the problem. Plus, I didn't realize you kind of like you're meant to back off and then like heal and stuff. I was playing all the hub quests. The multiplayer quests.
Yeah, I haven't got far enough in to know exactly the quest breakdown with this one.
So so I only realized after I beat one of the quests, and it's saying the game is telling me don't play these quests by yourself. They're not meant to be played solo. You're meant to play these with other people. Like that's the whole point of the hub quests.
Yeah,
No wonder the game
The
is
village
hard.
quests are solo, whereas the hub quests are multiplayer ones. And it scales, so it's not like impossible or anything. But I was playing, I'm like, why am I like getting my ass absolutely like handed to me with these things? And then I went back and played the village ones. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm smashing these ones out, right? But yeah, like Swinny, like I kind of have my head around the loop and everything like that, and I'm like, damn, I'm pretty addicted. I had to actually put it down because I was like, I'm not going to get through a game of some other year games that I need to play. But I'm so looking forward to going back to this game. It was one of my most anticipated games this year, and my guess is I will sink in like 150 hours in this game.
Whoa.
That's my guess at this stage.
That's kind of nuts.
Pretty common for Monster Hunter. So.
Yeah, I heard that, and I'm like, it also
you
gives
have
me
to?
that Breath of the Wild vibe of addiction.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. It's just like something about it. It's just.
I'm worried. I want to pick it up, but I'm worried about that. What is it about? And do you have to spend that much to really get something out of the game?
No, I don't think you need to play that much time. But I don't know. I just really like the loop. Just like the combat. I like the setting. I like the aesthetics of it. I like that it's odd game for me because I've never played Monster Hunter before. There's so many weird like niche things in the game and systems, and it doesn't explain half of them.
I went through the like.
Well, we should say this because we didn't say earlier that you've actually picked it up when you said you weren't going to.
Yeah, I picked it up. You convinced me through
Literally
talking about it.
in the podcast, we're saying, "Hey, you should get it," and you go, "Nah, I'll get it later, whatever." And then 2 hours later, you bought it.
So yes, I can't refute that. But so I went through. I've only ever played World and tiny bit of like one of the 3DS ones.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, like I was trying to sit there just thinking to myself, what's the impression Intercot's getting from all this? Because it does do a bit of a tutorial, take you around, but it's just like
not really.
There's one pop-up screen, and then it's like, oh, if you didn't get that, then you had like it's pretty wild. But the good thing,
Yeah,
about
it's like
Monster
here's
Hunter
6 pages of really critical information that's boring but super critical, and you're about to fight someone and you just want to skip it all, like I've done a few times, and then gone, shit, what the hell was that tutorial saying?
But once you start, like, it starts creeping in. You start, okay, oh, that was that thing that was mentioned ages ago, and that's why that person's there in the hub.
Yeah,
It will start to click and click and click and keep on going.
I agree with that.
And then at some point, you're like, oh man, this is just really, really addictive. So,
Yeah, I think it took me like 10 hours, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty much into this game. And then I had to put it down. I was like, damn it, I really want to just keep playing this game, but I just feel like I'm not going to be able to play LA Noire and Deus Ex and Dark Souls and just, get deeper into those games.
I was going to pick it up if it wasn't for those games as well.
Look, I played all of those games, but I want to complete them all, right? I feel like you have to complete them. So, but yeah, this game, I'm really, really into it. Like I said, I'm super into like playing it. After I get through most of those games, there's a PC version of it coming out next year, which is fascinating. And I'm kind of glad that I never played World, even though I own it. It's like literally just behind me. Because I think just hearing people who played World and then the graphics in this version, it's kind of like a downgrade, obviously, because you're talking about PS4 going to Switch. But to me, I look at it and I go, this looks like the best Switch game I've seen. I don't know about you, Swinny.
Runs alright?
It looks really nice. It runs pretty decently, actually.
Okay.
Considering the early footage looked a bit rough when they first showed it,
Yes.
but at the same time, I haven't been in a situation where there's like a monster battle going on in front of me with all this like scrap going on. But it seems to, from all reports, it seems to run pretty steady.
It's a solid 30. And like I've always said, if you can hit like a solid 30, it's fine, right? It's not as good as 60, but in a weird way, I'd prefer that than something that goes choppy between 30 and 60.
Oh, way better, yeah.
It does, like I've played, like
I'm
I
the
said,
same.
for about 10 hours, and I can recall like maybe 3 or 4 times where I've noticed the frame drops. But weirdly enough, Swinny, I don't think it's even as much to do with the battles with the large monsters. It's just like weird, like I think it was like loading in, stuff into RAM or something like that. Like when I'm going into really different areas quickly, and it kind of like threw it off. Like I was on the Palamute going as fast as I could. Very cool game. And bloody Swinny, I gave him an open invite. It's like essentially a multiplayer game. He gets the game. I'm like, sweet, hit me up when you want to play multiplayer. Absolute fucking silence. Nothing.
Because I've been too busy to play the games I wanted to play this week.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
He did that to me with Code Vein. So
He always does that.
Don't feel too bad
He
about
always
it.
does that. It's all about the Chivos.
That is not a
Yeah.
comparable situation.
It's a totally comparable situation.
It is.
You got me to buy that game.
It's the reverse situation.
Okay, it's a reverse
I bought
situation.
it because he bought it, not the other way, which is what you're saying.
No, this is actually no. You're right. Code Vein is even worse because you got me to buy it, and then you didn't even play it, even though you told me to get it so we could play it.
No, okay.
That's a way worse
I think
situation.
I've clarified this before. All right, at the time, I didn't know you didn't own it. You asked me, have you heard of Code Vein? Do you want to play co-op? I'm saying, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I didn't know you didn't buy it. You didn't have it already.
I didn't have it. I bought it so we could play co-op, and then you didn't want to play.
That's what he's
Anyway,
like, audience.
Time to move on.
Wait till he has the face cam so we can ridicule him.
Yeah.
All right, news item number 4.